So I'm Alan Pogue, and I remember when I was a very young boy, my father was a lawyer in Corpus Christi. And since Alex mentioned it, that I'm a fifth generation Texan. Because you always talk about outside agitators, you know. I'm an inside agitator here. And my father was given the case of defending an African-American policeman who was set up to be prosecuted because he was honest. He was an honest cop. And Corpus Christi had a very small African-American population, and they were all over on one side of Corpus Christi near the Harbor Bridge, almost in a cul-de-sac. And the people didn't want an honest cop, and so he was provoked while off duty into a confrontation in which he killed someone in self-defense. And my father successfully defended him. And so the man realized he just couldn't be in the police force. The next stop would be he'd be murdered, so he quit the police force. But of course, you can imagine that had a big impression on me, that the people in power, the people that are supposed to be doing good, you know, the city council and the police force, would gang up on a good person and set him up to be put in prison for the rest of his life. But then I think the other big influence on myself was I went to Vietnam as a soldier, a medic, chaplain's assistant, and of course we killed 1 million Vietnamese, and then another 1 million Vietnamese I think have died and are still dying because of the pollution, the Agent Orange and everything, and then what happened to my fellow soldiers. And so you see the incredible injustice that goes unpunished while people are worrying about more minor things. So when I came to Austin, I got involved with the Austin Prison Coalition, and then when Charlie and Pauline Sullivan started CURE, they inherited me, and so I became the photographer for CURE, and I've been doing it ever since. And so just for one thing, Odell Barnes was executed for a crime he did not commit. It was proved that he did not commit it, and he was executed anyway because the boards of pardons and parole are very hard to convince. As Dahlia said, you know, once you're in there, they just can't stand to say we made a mistake. It's almost impossible. Another person, he wanted to be known as Shaka Sankofa. He was in prison on death row for many, many years. He was finally executed, and he was almost certainly innocent. And even if it was possible for him to be guilty, the evidence against him was not good enough. It was not good enough at all. But really, I believe he was innocent, and most people do also. But the thing with Alex and I, our role is to try to make it real for people, and to try to get around logic. You know, if you argue with people, they'll argue back at you. But if you can get an emotional response out of them, that's what the play is all about. If you can make it real to them, then maybe you can get past their canned arguments that they always come back at you with. And so if you show people pictures. Now, Carla Faye Tucker did in fact commit murder, and she admitted it. But the thing was, she was the daughter of a prostitute. She was on hard drugs when she was a young teenager, ran away from home and joined a biker gang. So really the first chance in life she ever had was when she went to death row, away from all of those influences and drugs. And she became such a wonderful person that everybody Even the people in the prison system, the guards, they didn't want her to be executed. I was only able to take this picture because they didn't make me photograph her behind bulletproof glass and all that. They brought her out in a room like this with no one else except myself and a reporter, and left us with her for 2 hours. I've never seen anything like that in my life, never before or since, because they sympathized with her so much. But I think that showing pictures like this in plays and the music that Alex Koch does really can get to people's hearts, and that's what we have to do. Now, and also, this fellow did commit a horrible crime, a multiple murder, but he was paranoid schizophrenic. He was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic. He was kicked out of the Air Force for being too strange. And I've been in the military, and I can tell you, you have to be pretty darn strange to get kicked out of the military. So, but he was on death row for many, many years. And when he was on death row and he received the proper medication, he was very sweet and mild-mannered. And I talked to him for 2 hours while I took these pictures of him. And he talked about meditation, what brought him the most peace of mind. As long as he was on his medication, he was no threat to anyone. He was actually a very nice guy. It wasn't his fault that, you know, he had a brain chemistry problem. So maybe he shouldn't be let out into the general population. But on the other hand, he didn't deserve the death penalty. And his family didn't deserve all the anguish they went through. So I think if somebody really looks into this person's eyes, you know, they see a really sweet guy. And so that's the power of the visual image.